Hello, Security National. My name is Greg Holcomb, and I'm a district manager with Security National, the Home Service Division. I'm coming to you today to do some training on our GAP application. The GAP application is used primarily in all our states. It's our most popular application. It in most states goes from 1,000 to 30,000. Mississippi's a little different. We'll discuss in another video for you. But the GAP application covers a whole limit of different age groups and health issues. But we're going to just dive into the application itself. So we start in the first line, and this is where you would put your name. Now, this I am using the PDF version. You may not have the PDF version. You may do the printed version where you physically fill it out. It's all up to you. But I'm going to start with our customer's name. Is we'll say Jane, uh, Jane Doe, and get it to there. She's female, and we'll say that she has a birth date of June the 1st of 1985. So she's 38 years old, and she's 5'3", and she's 110 pounds. And we'll have to have her address next, and this is a street address, and we do have to have the correct street address. If she has a P.O. box and she doesn't use a physical address to receive her mail, we do need that. It is good to make sure that you know exactly where her mail goes to. That helps the underwriting process. So we'll just put her address down and we'll move on. I'm just making up an address here. So then, of course, we have her phone number. There we go. Of course, then we have to have her social. We don't do the dashes. That's what I just learned. And Alabama route and sequencing number. If this is an established route, you'll change it to whatever you want it to be to keep it in order. If she's already a customer of yours. If you have a different owner other than Miss Jane Doe, then you would put the owner here. If she has a different payer, you would put the different payer there. In this case, we're just going to put the primary beneficiary because Jane is going to be her owner and the payer as well. So we'll say Mary Doe is the beneficiary, and we'll put her address and on down the line. And of course, we need her phone number. And she's the mother. Social here, if you can get it, fine. If you can't, I think they are able to work around that. Contingent beneficiary would be if there's a second beneficiary besides her mother at this point. We will move on for time. So we're going to do let's say a $15,000 policy on Jane, and for 15,000, the premium is going to be, say, 3274. And she's not doing a child rider, it's just on her. The next place is going to be our request bill date. Now, this all depends on how she's going to pay you. Remember that we've made some changes, so just kind of hit on some of these. So EFT, if that is banking information that comes from a checking account. Remember that if we're doing EFT or debit card now, and as an agent, you don't receive that first payment from them. It will draft from their account. If for some reason she's going to pay you today because the account is not set up or the money is not in the account, then you can make the change to put her on draft later. But they're going to initially, if you set it up as draft, it's going to draft from the account that you're entering in. The request bill date, You can put it here. I always put it on the back page. When we get to that, I'll show you. But if she wants it to draft on the 15th, we can put it here. But again, I'll put it on the back page. For this example, we're just going to do that she's paying us monthly. So we're not even going to put anything with the checking account or anything. We have to put the premium level, what class she is. So she's a select class and she's a whole life. Again, there's no child riders. And so the amount of premium paid with application, because this one isn't set up to draft, will be the $32.74 that I quoted on the modal premium above. These next two questions are some of the often left off questions on our applications. Do you have existing life insurance policy or annuity? Yes or no? Even if they have have an existing insurance, it's okay to put yes, because it's the second question that matters the most. If yes, will proposed insured replace or change existing policy or annuity contract? We want to make sure that we mark that no unless we are replacing it. If we are replacing it, of course, you'll need the proper documentations to cover that. The next line is for the primary insured physician. This is where you list who their doctor is, when they've gone to the doctor, to match all the health questions that are below. So the proposed insured physician's name. If they have not gone to a doctor, then we simply put NA, that they have not seen a doctor within the last 5 years. They don't have a primary physician. But if they have a doctor, this is where you list their information and make sure that you have as much information as you can give them. A lot of times our customers will know where they live, where their office is, but they may not know the address. Google is sometimes our best friend in that situation. So you see the list. This is the first set of questions. So for the gap application, when we're starting out, we're always going to be on the select side. These first set of questions on the front page is going to be if they're all yes, if any yes answers, they're not going to be eligible for this coverage. So all these questions have to be no for you to continue on to the health question, onto the gap application. So you can read the questions here. Have you been diagnosed, treated, tested, or treated by a licensed medical profession as having Alzheimer's disease, dementia, hepatitis C, Lou Gehrig's disease, or been diagnosed, tested, or treated by a licensed member of the medical profession with having terminal illness resulting in death within the next 12 months? Of course, we hope that's going to be a no. Again, if it's not, we have other options for them, and those will be on the other videos for you. But for this example, Miss Jane Doe's answer is no. Have you been diagnosed, tested, or treated by a licensed member of the medical profession for any organ transplant, dialysis treatment, cystic fibrosis, cirrhosis of the liver, or sickle cell anemia? Of course, that answer will be no for us to be able to continue. Next question is the AIDS questions, age-related complex, ARC, or having been tested for the HIV virus. That will be a no as well. Sometimes these touchscreens can be a little tricky. Next question, in the last 5 years, have you been treated for alcohol or drug addiction or abuse, including prescription drugs, by a licensed member of the medical profession? In the last 2 years, treated by a licensed member of the medical profession for any internal cancer, melanoma, or brain tumor. Last 2 years, any type of heart disease, CHV, CHF, or heart attack or heart surgery. Last 2 years, stroke, brain aneurysm, seizure, or any other brain disorder or suicide attempt. Are you now or within the last 30 days been treated or admitted in a hospital, nursing home, or any type of healthcare facility, hospice care, or been advised by a licensed member of medical profession to be confined to a bed? And do you need assistance or supervision with dressing, eating, personal hygiene, bathing, or toilet, or transferring to or from bed or chair? So once we've completed this section and we've had all the answers or no, then we know that we're good to go on the gap. And at this point, they are a select, which there's a select, special, and then the limited death. So the next set of questions, number 10 through 14, if we get a yes answer, that's going to move them from a select to the special. It's not kicking them out, it's just dropping them from one class to the next. So the first question is, diabetes with no complications, good control, takes under 100 units of insulin in a 24-hour period and was diagnosed with diabetes after age 40. So you can see that at this point, this person is not uninsurable. We're just moving from one class to the other. So our answer for Jane will be no. Next question is lung disorder, emphysema, asthma, or COPD. Again, it's not kicking them out. If it's a yes, it's just moving them to a different class. Next question, chest pain, heart attack, heart surgery, or other heart or circulatory disorder, including uncontrolled high blood pressure, takes more than 2 medications, takes blood thinning medication, brain aneurysm, or stroke. Again, if that's a yes, we're not kicking them out. They're just not a select. They'll be a special. Diagnosed, tested, or treated by a licensed member of the medical profession for any internal cancer, melanoma, or brain tumor. Not kicking them out. Recovered alcohol or drug abuser, if applicable, lists the date of recovery. Again, not kicking them out, just moving from one level to the next. The last section is going to be the most, pulling them all the way down to the limited death. If they answer yes here, this goes into the limited death or the graded death benefit policy. Questions 15 through 22. Question 15, diabetes with complications, including retinopathy, neuropathy, amputation, onset of diabetes under age 40, but not on dialysis. If it's a yes, we know that they qualify for the limited death. Disease of the liver, kidney, pancreas, or other internal organs, or hepatitis B. Again, I'm answering the questions as for Jane Doe, but so you understand. Parkinson's disease, paralysis, multiple sclerosis, lupus, muscular dystrophy, epilepsy, seizures, or any neurological disorders. We're not telling them they're not insurable. We're telling them they'll have to use the limited death plan. Paranoia, schizophrenia, major depression disorder, suicide attempts, hospitalization, or any other medical disorder or disease. Next question, congestive heart failure, heart attack, circulatory disorder, or other heart disorders or conditions. Brain tumor, brain disorders, TIA, mini strokes, or strokes of any kind. Within the last 2 years, have you been advised by a licensed member of the medical profession to have tests, surgery, treatment, or do you have any medical test results pending of any additional medical evaluations that have not been performed, excluding tests related to the human immunodeficiency virus, AIDS virus? And then the last question, do you use a medical appliance such as a wheelchair, walker, hospital bed, or oxygen? So as you see, a lot of times if I'm using this PDF app, sometimes clicking on it will not answer the question. So remember that, make sure that you have answered all questions correctly, because if you skip one, it could mess you up and policy could go into underwriting. So this next section here is if yes to any medical questions, please indicate which medical questions your answers pertain to and write down all medical conditions, medications, excluding oxygens, the dosage, durations of said medications. So for this example, all the questions are no, but she may be taking medication for something, high blood pressure, something simple like that. There's no questions that match to that, but I would still suggest you go ahead because we do script checks on these applications. So you want to make sure that everything is properly listed on the application so that it doesn't come back and you find it in your pending needing the medication and dosages. For this example, she's not taking anything, so we're going to go on. But you would simply just put down their medication, what their condition is. So if it was blood pressure, you'd put high blood pressure, the medicine she's taking, the dose, and how long she's been taking the medication. You don't have to put the question number since it doesn't match to a number if that's all she was taking, but still list all medications. This next section would be for if you're applying for a child rider. The example that we're using doesn't have one, but if you do, you just simply list the child's name, their medical conditions, if there's yes or no, and it lists all the different medical conditions that could be a yes to, and then of course give the birth date, the age, the gender, and the relationship to the applicant. So, mother or father. Remember on the next page to make sure that you put the name and the social of the insured on the next page. I think I may have missed it up here, so it should have been here as well. That's something that sometimes gets left off. And when the applications get to the office, they don't always stay together. So you want to make sure that you've got that information on there so that it goes correctly. Now we get to the back page here, and we have the city and state at which you witness their signature. So I'm just going to simply put in the information, the date. I'll just put today's date. And it goes ahead on this application, fills it out for you. We would have the proposed insured to sign it. If there was an owner, we would have the owner sign, but there isn't. If you would print their name first, so we would print Jane Doe and then let them sign below that. And then of course we'll put our name and either the billing agent or writing number. Once you've completed that, then you'll come down and you see the agent statement. The agent statement says, I certify that to the best of my knowledge, I correctly asked all the medical questions in the application and correctly recorded all answers given. Number 2, all answers given in the application are true and complete. Number 3, the signature of the proposed insured and or applicant policy owner, parent, legal guardian is what they are represented to be and were signed in my presence. Number 4, I know of no factor affecting the insurability of the proposed insured except as stated in the application. And number 5, this insurance will or will not change or replace any existing insurance policy or annuity contract. Again, this is an important one and sometimes missed. Make sure that you have checked that box, and you can answer all those top questions truthfully. And now we sign it and we print it and we put our writing number down. Then you go to the back page. Now, again, on this example, we're not doing bank draft, but on this example, if it wasn't, we go to the back page, and again, we put the agent's name and social, and then we have to put, if there's a different payor, we put their information, or if it's hers, we just leave it the same, her name and number, address, and the customer's name, the bank of that they are using, the address of the bank. Again, sometimes we may not have the physical address of the bank, but Google can help us find it. It may not be on their check. And then we have our checking account number or savings account number, the routing number. If it's a credit card, we'll do the credit card number, expire date, and the code on the back. Once we have that completed, then we have Jane's information here. We go ahead and have her sign it and date it. And then we have our receipt on the very bottom. This receipt acts as the conditional receipt. So it acts as their policy until their policy comes in, as long as everything is correct on the application. Again, once you've completed this, if you can tear this receipt off without destroying the application. And on that note, right above this dotted line, that little code that's there, and this as of 7 of 2020, if this application if that cuts off when it gets to our underwriters, that could mess them up. So make sure that if you're cutting these off, because they're not perforated like some apps are. So if you're tearing this out, just make sure you don't tear into that part of the application, or you'll have to do this all over again. Sign and date, give them their receipt showing what they have paid for, and simply it. Hope this has been some help as far as filling out our GAP application. If you have any questions, reach out to any one of our managers and we'll be glad to help you. As always, happy selling.